left-hand column there, you wrote down your cube numbers, right? Because that's going to help you. So 1 cubed was 1, 2, what's 2 cubed? 8, 3 cubed, 4 cubed, let's see, 5 cubed, 6 cubed, 2 16, 7 cubed, 8 cubed, 5 12, and 9 cubed, 7 29. And if you wanted to, 10 cubed was 1,000, right? I would say for sure, I cannot write 10 apparently today. For sure, you need to probably know up through 343, right? That's kind of the one where my brain stops. And then I would know 10, right? I'm not sure how much of it really comes up. I can't do very many types of problems. I can't give you very many numbers because if we get too big, it will get too big, right? So the first thing, let's talk about our factoring steps because these don't change, okay, in everything we do. First thing we always look for is a greatest what? Common factor. That rule hasn't changed. First thing you should always do, greatest common factor, okay? If we have two terms, we look to see if they are squares or cubes, because now the cubes are going to show up in two terms. So you're looking for a difference of squares or a sum or difference. Notice I can have a sum with the cubes of cubes. So you're going to determine if you have square things or cube things, which we've kind of been playing with square and cube numbers this week, right? Part of our weekly skills check, and we know some of them are the same, right? 64 is on both the square and the cube list. So we have to be careful sometimes, okay? If we have three terms, we are going to look for we're going to do the magic X or the magic X in the box, right? Depending upon whether we have a leading coefficient or not. If we have four terms, we are going to apply grouping to it. Okay, so I should be able to just, by the end of this lesson, right, I should be giving you any factoring problem and you apply all the different types of factoring. You got to analyze which type you have to begin with, okay? All right, everybody got it? Because I don't want to go too fast. I know it's not a super long lesson today, but I'll make sure we've got time. All right, so here comes the sum and difference of cubes pattern, okay? You're going to start with something that is, it's going to be X, it's going to look like a cube plus or minus a cube. So the way that we take care of that, it's going to be like something cubed plus something cubed, okay? Or minus something cubed. X cubed minus Y cubed, something like that, okay? So the pattern is I always do, it's a binomial times a trinomial, okay? I start with my signs, okay? I always put my signs in first. So I start by whatever sign I start with. What's wrong?
The time limit was like, it expired apparently, but I still need to answer one more.
Your time's up.
Okay.
You have to get it done in the amount of time, okay? All right, so you always start with whatever sign you start with. So if I start with a plus, I put a plus sign in. If I start with a minus, I put a minus sign in. The last sign in the trinomial is always positive, okay? And then you always have to have one negative sign in the pattern, okay? Because you got to be able to cancel some stuff out. So in this pattern, it's a plus minus plus pattern, or it's a minus plus plus pattern. So I always do my signs first, and then I ignore my signs, okay? To do these other parts, I cube root to get both of these pieces. So I cube root to get the front and the back. So I'm cube rooting what I have there, okay? And then I square and square. I square the front, square the back, and I multiply for the middle. It'll make sense when we do one, okay? All right, let's go ahead. Everybody got it? That's you go back and look at it kind of notes, right? All right, so it says we have to factor each in a polynomial completely. First thing I'm going to look for is if I have a greatest common factor. So in that first one, do I have a greatest common factor? I saved you all from that fly. All right. I don't think I do in that one, right? So I look at the numbers. Actually, I count the terms. How many terms are there? 2. Okay. So I check for greatest common factor. I've got 2 terms. So I either have to determine if they're square numbers or cube numbers. So do I have squares or cubes? Cubes. They're on my cube list over there, right? So I know I've got to factor it into a binomial times a trinomial. All right. I am starting with this sign. So I'm starting with a negative. According to my little pattern up here, what should my other 2 signs be? Plus, plus. So I go minus, plus, plus. Okay? All right. I take the cubed root of 216x cubed. So what's the cubed root of 216 according to our chart? 6. And what's the cubed root of x cubed? X. Remember that when I'm taking roots, I divide by that index, right? So if I have like a 6th power, I could divide it by 3. I don't know that that's going to come up very often, but it's a possibility. Okay? Thank you. All right. I'm going to take the cubed root of 27. What's the cubed root of 27? 3. Oh, I did have a greatest common factor in there because that has the greatest common factor in it, but that's okay. It's Friday before break. We missed it. All right. I'm going to square this one here. What's the square of 6x? 36x squared. Good. What's the square of 3? 9. Okay. And then I'm going to take these and I'm going to multiply them together, ignoring the sign. So what's 6x times 3? 18x. I've got good news. Okay. I'm not going to worry about the greatest common factor that we missed. I'm just going to leave it for today. But there is not a magic X that will work on that ever. Okay, you can try it on your own time. Okay, but there is never a magic X that's going to work on that piece. Okay, so you're done. That's it. I missed a square. I know I didn't. I'm good. We're good. Thought I was supposed to have a squared. We're not. Okay, if I FOILed that back out, I would get back to my binomial there. Okay, any questions so far? It's kind of an ugly pattern, but it's a pattern we just got to learn. All right, so we're gonna do this again. First of all, do I have a greatest common factor? I'm pretty confident I don't this time, right? I've got it ends in a 3 and a 4. I'm pretty confident. All right, so let's go. Let's keep going. How many terms do I have? 2. Are they squares or cubes? And this time the 64 would act like a cube, right? So I got to treat it like a cube. All right, so that means a binomial times a trinomial. What sign do I start my binomial with? Positive. Good. And then what do my other 2 signs in the pattern have to be? Negative, positive. All right, I'm cube rooting. So what's the cubed root of 343? 7, and then for the x, what do I get? Just 7x, good. Okay, and then I cube root the 64, what do I get? 4. Remember, I'm coming down to these. I'm squaring the 7x. So when I square 7x, what do I get? 49x squared, good. And then I'm squaring the 4, what do we get? Good. And then I am taking these 2 terms and I am multiplying them together, ignoring the sign. So it's 7x times 4. 28x. You got to practice this a few times. Make sure you get it into your brain, right? Because you don't want to do this once in the notes and then do it on the quiz, right? All right, especially with the break in there. All right. Any questions so far? I'm looking ahead a little bit. What's wrong, Jesse?
Why is this one positive 18x?
Because our pattern ignores the signs. Okay, so just you're just multiplying this thing and this thing. Ignore the sign that we put in there. Okay, we do all the signs on this on the beginning. Okay, all right. I want you guys to try 3 and 4 before I make it any more complicated. Okay, so everybody's doing 3 and 4. Okay, I don't think there's GCFs. All right, so try the new pattern. That's what we're trying to get at here. I'm going to give you about another 20 seconds. All right, I want you to check it with somebody at your table. Have a quick conversation whether or not you're done, and check to see if you guys got the same answers. Okay, let's take a look together. All right. So, did we have a greatest common factor? No. Okay, so do we have squares or cubes? Cubes, right? The 1 is also a square and a cube, right? So I'm going to start with cubes. All right, what is my sign pattern? What? Minus, then plus, plus. All right, what do we have to do to the 8? Or the 8x cubed? Cube root, which gives me 2x. Good. And then what do we do to the 1? Cube root, we get 1. Good. All right, and then what do I do to the 2x? Square it, we get. Good. What do we do to the 1? Square it, we get 1. And then I multiply for the middle, I get 2x. Ignore the signs, right? Don't change it. We purposely put in the signs we wanted. Okay? All right. Any questions to that one? All right. Do I have a greatest common factor in example 4? How many terms? 2. Squares or cubes? Cubes. That's going to be today's answer. That doesn't mean it will be that when we go look at things like a district final or an SBAC, right? It could be anything, okay? Or an SAT or PSAT next year, okay? All right. What's my sign pattern going to start with? Plus, and what are my other two? Minus, plus. You got to memorize your sign pattern for the quiz, right? Or the test. All right. Cubed root, what do we get? 3x. Cubed root, what do we get? 5y. Not a big deal that I threw an extra variable in there with you. Okay. All right. What am I doing to the 3x? Squaring it. What do we get? So 9x squared. What am I going to do to the 5y? Square it. We get what? 25y squared. And then what do I want to do to the middle? Multiply. And what do we get? 15xy. Okay. Any questions on example 4? Okay, let's take a look at example 5 and 6. They're a little bit trickier, a little bit more to them, okay, on purpose, all right? So what's the very first thing I'm always supposed to look for when I factor? GCF. What is my greatest common factor in this one? Well, they're both even. What do we got? What always goes into something even? 2. What else is in both of them? Look at the variables. What can I pull out? I can pull out an x, right? So I'm dropping that in there. So I'm dividing by 2x. All right, so when I divide 2, or what times 2x is 16x to the 4th? 8x cubed. Oh boy, look, something cubed. Who'd have thought, right? All right, what times 2x is negative 54x? Negative 27, good. All right, how many terms do I have left here in the back? 2. Are they squares or cubes? Cubes. You have to drop that 2x down. That's part of your factoring. Remember, when you multiply it back out in your final answer, you have to get back to the original. You wouldn't without that. All right, you said cubes. So binomial times trinomial. What's my sign pattern going to be? Minus, plus, plus. All right, we're going to cube root the 8x cubed. So what's the cubed root of 8x cubed? Good. And we're going to cubed root 27. What do we get? 3. I'm going to square the 2x. What do we get? 4x squared. I'm going to square the 3. What do we get? 9. And then what are we supposed to do to get the middle? Multiply 2x and 3. What do we get? 6x. Ignore the sign. Right? Okay, any questions? All right, I want you guys to try 5. Take an opportunity, or sorry, 6. Take an opportunity and try one with a greatest common factor in it. Big hint, there is a greatest common factor. Okay. Make sure you don't forget to keep carrying the GCF with the final answer. Okay. You got 20, 30 seconds on your own. You can do this. Get the GCF out first. Okay, talk about it with somebody at your table, even if all it is figuring out that you guys have the same GCF. Okay, I'll give you like 20, 30 seconds. Talk to each other, please. This is your opportunity to get help. Okay, let's take a look at it together. All right, what was the greatest common factor? 2x squared, I like it. All right, we're going to look at what's left behind. So how many times, or what times 2x squared is 2x to the 5th? X cubed, okay. What times 2x squared is 250x squared? 125. You guys, if you have to think about it like, if you want to like undo a box on it, that works too, okay? All right, I've got 2 terms, squares or cubes? Cubes. All right, so I've got a binomial times a trinomial. All right, what's my sign pattern going to be? Plus, minus, plus, okay? I have to do what to the x cubed? Cube root. What's the cube root of x cubed? X. What do I have to do to the 125? Cube root it. Thank you. What's the cube root of 125? 5. All right, what are we supposed to do to the x? Square. What are we supposed to do to the 5? Square. We get 25. What are we supposed to get for the middle? 5x we multiply. Okay? Make sure you have the 2x squared up front. Are there any questions on the cube pattern? I'm not going to keep doing it to death. I'm going to let you do that on the assignment, right? You keep practicing it, okay? All right, we're Algebra 2, so we're doing 2 things today, right? All right, we're going to factor by grouping, all right? I'm going to use a lot of colors, okay, to kind of highlight the groups. And I'm going to do, the first 2 are not what the problems are going to look like. We're actually going to start with the middle step and understand the middle step first, and then I will go back and do the problem from the beginning, okay? So I want you to look at the 2 groups I have there. Okay, so I'm going to say that I have a yellow group and a purple group. Okay, all that factor by grouping is greatest common factor. Our greatest common factor is just ugly. Okay, it's not a monomial. So in those 2 groups, in the yellow group and the purple group, what matches? Or what's the same? X minus 5. That is my greatest common factor, okay? When I do greatest common factor, how many times do I write it down out front? Once. And that's what you have to get in your head is when we get to this point, it's not like one of the X minus 5s disappears. We factor it out, okay? So I am going to take this guy and factor it out, and I write it down 1 time, okay? Then I am writing down everything else that's left behind, and that's going to go in parentheses at the back. 3x squared minus 2. I always look for an opportunity to factor more. There isn't. Those are not difference of squares, right? It's just 2 terms, and they're factored as much as they're going to factor. Okay? All right. I want you to practice that baby step on example 8. So that, again, that's going to be our middle step. Everybody try example 8 real quick. Okay? Give you like 40 seconds. Find your greatest common factor, the ugly one. Pull it out and write down what's left. Okay, let's take a look. So I have my yellow group and my purple group, right? What's the greatest common factor, the ugly one? X plus 2. How many times do I get to write that out front? Once. Okay, and then what's left behind? Good. Okay, any questions? All right. That's not what the problems are going to look like. Like I said, I started with the middle step to get us used to that one. All right, the problems are going to have, notice, how many terms do you see in each problem? We're going to have 4 terms. If you see 4 terms, you know you've got to do grouping. Okay? All right, so I am looking at it, first of all, what's the very first thing we always look for? Greatest common factor. So look at all 4 of those terms. Is there anything they have in common? Not this time, right? So we're good this time. All right, now we're going to do something that only Mrs. Ballard does, okay? So I like to be able to try to visualize the 2 groups, okay? So what I will do, and this is not a math symbol at all. You ready for this? Okay. I draw a squiggle between the 2 groups, okay? Squiggles are not math symbols, okay? No other teacher is going to draw a squiggle there. Unless they were my student, right, and they became a math teacher, maybe they would draw a squiggle, okay? All right. So I'm looking at the first half of that. What is the greatest common factor of the first half? 2. Good. So I'm going to pull out a 2x squared out of the first half. All it is repeated greatest common factor over and over and over. That's all grouping is. Okay. All right. How many times is 2x squared, or what times 2x squared is 2x cubed? X. Good. What times 2x squared is negative 6x squared? Good. So that was my first group. Okay. I'm going to look at my second group now. Okay. So for the negative 5x plus 15, what would we pull out? Ooh, I heard a 5. I also heard negative 5. Here's the thing. If you have a negative here, pull it out. Okay? I don't want that negative in the front of as a coefficient anymore. So I'm going to pull out any negatives if I see them. So I'm going to pull out a negative 5. Okay? What times negative 5 is negative 5x? X. Good. What times negative 5 is 15? Look at why I pulled out the negative. Do you see how we got that ugly greatest common factor to all of a sudden pop up? Okay. Don't force it, but it should pop up. If it's not popping up, you're probably doing something wrong. Okay. So I still have my yellow group and my purple group, right? All right. What's the ugly greatest common factor? X minus 3. How many times do I get to write that down? 1 time it comes out front, right? So I'm bringing that out front 1 time. X minus 3. And then I'm writing down everything that's left. Okay? Oh, he's not here today. Yeah. All right. What's left behind? 2x squared minus 5. Good job. Okay? All right. Let's do one more kind of slowly together. Okay? All right. How do I know on example 10 that I'm doing grouping? What's kind of the light bulb moment that I have to do grouping? 4 terms, okay? Before I do grouping, though, what should I always look for? GCF. Do I have a GCF this time? Now the 3 makes it so there's no GCF, right? It's not even. All right, so we put the Mrs. Ballard squiggle in there, right? Because I'm just trying to get my brain to see the first half and the second half, okay? Don't put parentheses, because you don't want to turn it into multiplication. That's why I do the squiggle, okay? So I don't do this, because then you're telling me it's something else, okay? You're all of a sudden turning into a multiplication problem. It's not, okay? All right, in that first group, what is the greatest common factor?
4x squared.
Good, 4x squared. All right, what times 4x squared is 4x cubed? X. What times 4x squared is 24x squared? 6. So we're hoping that we get an x plus 6 out of the back. right? We might not, but we're hoping that happens. Okay, let's try the back piece. So, what should I pull out of the back piece? Yeah, good. If we lead with that negative, we're going to pull a negative out. All right, what times negative 3 is a negative 3x? What times negative 3 is negative 18? Good. All right. We've got the yellow group, purple group. Okay. What is the ugly greatest common factor between those two groups? X plus 6. How many times do I get to write it down? Once. And then everything that's left behind gets written. So what's going to go in the back parentheses? Good. Okay. Any questions on 10? All right. I want you to try number 11. There's no goofy greatest common factor yet in that one. Okay. I'm giving you that hint, right? Though you're supposed to, oh, I take that back. Oh, no, we're good. We're good. If there's not a greatest common factor in that one yet. Everybody try it. See if you can just do a grouping without a GCF in it yet. Aiden, get out your notes. It's the same packet. Thank you. Working on the same set of notes we've been working on. Okay, I want you to check it with somebody at your table. It's a good opportunity to ask questions.
Do you have a little spare packet?
Thank you. Working on the same set of notes we've been working on. Okay, let's check it together. So, I'm going to ask the question even though I already gave you the answer. Is there a greatest common factor for all 4 terms? No. 4 terms means we do what type of factoring? I want to hear that from everybody. 4 terms means do what kind of factoring, everybody? Grouping. Remember, you got to train your brain. That's what we're doing right now. We're building muscle memory, okay? You have to participate to build muscle memory. All right. I'm splitting and doing the Ballard squiggle split, right? All right. What's the greatest common factor of the first group? 3x squared. What'd you get for what was left behind? 2x plus 1. Okay. All right. What about the second group? What was the greatest common factor? Negative 4. Okay. What was left behind? 2x plus 1. All right. I'm looking at my 2 groups. What's my ugly greatest common factor in the 2 groups? How many times do I get to write that down? Once. Okay, and then what was left behind? 3x squared minus 4. It says minus 4. I still didn't get the minus in there the right way. Okay, any questions so far on grouping? All right, we're going to do a couple that have some other crazy things. We're going to try to get this done in the next 9 minutes. Okay? So, I for sure want to do 12 and 14. If we have to skip 13, we have to skip 13. But let's do 12. Let's focus on 12 and 14 first. Okay. All right. What's the first thing I look for anytime I factor? GCF. Do I have a greatest common factor this time? Ooh, I could pull a 2x out. Okay, so I'm going to pull out a 2x. All right. What times 2x is 20x to the 4th? It would just be 2x because the x I only have an x in the back. Okay? Because remember, I'm looking at the whole thing, not the grouping part yet. Okay? All right. So, what was that? I'm sorry. 10x cubed. Good. All right. What times 2x is negative 10x cubed? Good. What times 2x is 4x squared? 2x. And what times 2x is negative 2x? Negative 1. Okay, now we do the Ballard squiggle in the middle, right? We have to be careful and drop down that 2x. All right? I'm going to do a weird big set of parentheses so I don't mess this up. Okay? I'm going to do all my grouping stuff in those parentheses. Okay? What is the greatest common factor in this first half? 5x squared. Good. Thank you. All right. What times 5x squared is 10x cubed? 2x. What times 5x squared is negative 5x squared? Good. All right, I'm looking at the back group. Is there anything I can factor out of that? What divides everything? 1. So could I technically factor out a 1? It's kind of weird, but I could do it, right? So I'm just going to get what it is left behind, right? All right, I'm still looking at my yellow group and my purple group. Okay? What matches, or what is the greatest common factor of those two groups? Good. And how many times do I get to write that down? Once. So I'm dropping this 2x. I'm bringing out 2x minus 1. And I am left behind with 5x squared plus 1. Okay? Any questions on 12? Okay, let's drop down to number 14. Okay? And do that one because there's something else weird that happens in 14. And I want you to make sure you're aware of it. Okay? All right. Is there a greatest common factor of the whole thing? Not this time. Okay? How many terms do we have? 4. What does that mean? What type of factoring do I have to do? Grouping. Good. All right, so we're going to do the Ballard squiggle in the middle, right? All right, look at the first group. What is the greatest common factor of the first group? X squared. All right. What times x squared is x cubed? X. What times x squared is negative x squared? Negative 1. All right. Second group. What's the greatest common factor? Negative 9. Notice most of them have had a negative there, right? It'll probably mess you up when there's a plus. We've done so many with a negative. All right. What times negative 9 is negative 9x? What times negative 9 is 9? Negative 1. All right. I've got the yellow group. I've got the purple group. What's my ugly greatest common factor? X minus 1. How many times do I write it down? Once. I am left behind with x squared minus 9. Okay, if we went and looked at our instructions, remember they say factor completely. Look at that back piece. It should be bothering you, right? What type of factoring is that back piece, the x squared minus 9? It's a difference of squares. It's possible to get a difference of squares in the back part there when we do this. So I'm going to keep dropping down the x minus 1, and then I'm going to do a difference of squares in this back part, okay? This isn't going to happen on every problem, right? But you have to be aware that it could happen. So what's the square root of x squared? X. What's the square root of 9? 3 make 1a, and 1a? Negative. Okay? Any questions? All right, we're going to leave 13 a mystery. All right, because we're going to have to... Oh, we've got... Actually, no, we don't have to leave it a mystery. We still have about 4 minutes. Try 13. I'll give you about a minute and a half, 90 seconds. Hint, you need to look for a greatest common factor first, right? It's very similar to what we did on 12. If you need a model, look at your 12. Okay. I'm going to go over it with you. Okay, so we make sure we get it done. Okay. All right. Is there a overall greatest common factor? What'd you guys use? Okay, 4x squared. Good. All right. What times 4x squared is 8x to the 5th? Okay. What times 4x squared is 16x to the 4th? What times 4x squared is negative 12x cubed? And what times 4x squared is negative 24x squared? Good. All right, how many terms do I have left? 4, so we're doing it, what kind of factoring is it going to be? Grouping. I'm dropping my 4x squared down. I'm using a big set of parentheses for all the grouping mess. All right, what's the greatest common factor of the first group? Good. What was left behind? X plus what? Good. All right. What is the greatest common factor of the second group? Negative 3. What was left behind? X plus 2, right? Because I'm dividing the 3 into the 6. Or negative 3 into the 6. All right. Got my yellow group, got my purple group, right? What's the ugly greatest common factor hiding in those two groups? X plus 2. How many times do I write that down? Once. Okay. So I'm writing down x plus 2 one time, and then what's left behind? Good. All right. We have just enough time. Okay. I want you really quickly to take like 1 minute and write down the steps for greatest common factor. Okay. So write your steps down really, really quick. Okay. And then we will do the quiz. It's super short today because I think the quiz will take you 1 minute. Okay, once you got your summary written down, go ahead and clear your desks. Oh, that's not what I wanted. That's what I wanted. All right. Stop on this. If you are out